So when did I start my awakening? Um, I would say officially starting my awakening, it would be, so it's 2026 now, not 2026, not 2025, 2024. All those things started on to 2023, but to go through the process of really being in a position of starting with my awakening fully, I would say 2024, uh after August. I remember it was after the funeral of one of my neighbors, where I grew up in the township that I grew up. I remember we had to go there, and this is when I even met my great aunt who came for the funeral. And she came with who I would call her her what you call a person who's got like a bodyguards or something like that, or her own personal agents of some kind, because they were all looking at me at that on that day. Like, they were looking at me, trying to ask me questions. How's it going? How's life? Like, I wasn't doing that great at the time. And I remember only after I realized now that they were trying to suss out whether their shenanigans, their witchcraft and whatnot was working. And they were trying to also weigh to see if I'm like going through the motions that they thought that they were going to be putting me under, because everybody was just trying to find a point where they could just get me alone and ask me personal questions. And I was just myself, just the same way I am now. I was just like, yeah, of course I might have problems. I didn't even see it as problems. I just knew that I was going through something, but I didn't know, I didn't think it was a problem. And at the time, they were throwing their curses at me: the winds, the noise, the traffic noise, the tapping on the roof, the birds chirping, the being attacked, like insects of any kind. It was just too much. And also the curses that they were throwing on my body, my ovaries, my stomach, my all my chakras were being attacked. At that time, I didn't even know that they were called chakras. I had to learn that when they do this, they are taking my crown chakra. I had to learn about crown chakra, throat chakra, heart chakra, solar plexus, your what's the other one? I forgot what the other one is. And your root chakras and all those other chakras. And I remember I just answered them. I said, you know what? It's okay. It's going well. It's going as well as it could. But yeah, I didn't complain. I'm not the kind to complain about when I'm going through things. I've went through things before, and I never really think it's cute to tell everybody about your problems, especially people that I don't know. I mean, it's not like she might be my great aunt, but I left her circle and her whatever a long time ago, when we were supposed to be training together, and she behaved some other way, and she eventually said I shouldn't come back to her house. And the next time when I went there, it was because of I was going to bury one of the brothers who I liked, that is one of her brother-in-laws who I liked, who told me the truth about the family that my great aunt is married into, or tried to tell me the truth. Well, actually, he did tell me some truth. But anyway, that's when I started my awakening. I think I would mark it as August 2024. But then I would also mark it as the pre to it was I think it was April or May, on my grandmother's birthday. In May, April 2023. I think this is why there's like some readings we're talking about 2023, 2023. This is when I woke up, when the devil woke me up, but to go through that awakening process fully, because they disrupted me to even start. From that day when they woke me up and at my grandmother's birthday to this day, they have been actively trying to disrupt my process of awakening by basically trying to attack me, sending all kinds of all these things that they've been sending to me, all this type of witchcrafts that they've been doing to me. The witchcraft, I don't even know what to call them, because as I do myself, I'm not even going to discuss this, because I can't even say to anybody, this is what they did. This is what I know, what I experienced in terms of, physically what I would have issues with, and also what would happen as well around the cabin and around the farm. I know all those things, but I said to myself, I'm not even going to discuss this shit with anybody. I will give examples of what people do when they do shit like this, and maybe people would be like, oh yeah, I've seen that. But I wouldn't really want to get into it in the sense of I wanted them to come and say something. This is why I've been quiet. I said to myself, they will come up with the information themselves. They will tell us what is it that they did. I'm not going to entertain that kind of subject. Yeah, where I need to share certain things or tricks and whatever, I'll do that, but not from their perspective. From the perspective of what I understand. How I understand it is another story. So yeah, if I count from 2023, let's just count from 2023 April. So it will be 2023, 2024, 25, 26. So it's been like 3 years. Yeah, definitely about 3 years. And this is a process that was supposed to take 6 months. And even then, I remember my father saying, you'll go through something with your sister. It's gonna take up, I think he said 8 months or so, then 6 to 8 months. And when you're finished, you'll have, like, you're gonna lose everything. You're gonna go through something with your sister and you're gonna lose everything. It's gonna take about 6 to 8 months. And when you're done, everything will be returned back to you, slowly but surely. So I was like, okay, here we go. I was afraid, and father was like, don't be afraid, everything will be fine. So it's been about 3 years now, when I officially woke up. That is, the alarm that I set for myself was triggered. It went off and I woke up, and I started seeing differently. And yeah, and when like what was my experience about awakening, I started seeing differently. The vision was different. My eyes, my vision was far much more than what you see, what I see. I read instead of seeing. I read the situation better. Like go to I would see beyond the words. I would hear beyond the words. I would see beyond the person who's in front of me. Not that I saw something different with them, but more like something around them or something different around their surroundings, but I would feel more. It's like my senses were integrated, so to speak. It was almost like when my eyes are open, there is something that sees beyond just what this person is standing like, beyond what they're saying, beyond what they look like. You know the third eye thing? When they say your third eye is open, I was seeing far much more than that. And I was seeing and feeling their answers, their words. Like, what do you mean? Before I used to have that, but I never used to like um really immerse myself into reading more into it. But this time when when I woke up, I started reading more into what they're saying. And I started basically behaving the way I used to behave when I was far much younger before I started sleeping. Because I was awake for a while when I was still here, when I got here on earth, when I was still young, until Father said, I'm going to have to put you to sleep so that you can lead a normal life. And then I'll come back some other time. So now I started sensing things the same way, more not exactly to that degree where I used to read and understand far much more. This time it was more like I was getting back into it, where someone would say something and I would look at the way everything that they're saying, the way they smirk, their eyes, the way I sense them as well. I sense the energy that is coming from them, and like, this person is deceitful. I would sense that the words that they're coming out of their mouth is not true, and they are acting like this, and why. And I would read into why are they acting like this. You know what I'm saying? It's like that's the first thing that I noticed. I my smell was different. My smell was much clearer as well. Like I could smell better. I felt more, but I didn't it was as if like I could sense some other heart in there. Like it was like I had two hearts or something. It was as if like there was someone inside of me. But it was like God being inside of me. Like I could separate himself and me in a way. And even the vision that I had, it was as if like someone else is looking through my eyes. But then I realized as well that my sister as well was using me to view through my eyes. They would how they monitor me is they also monitor me by my own eyes. They're using my own eyes to monitor me. That is, she sees through my eyes. There's something that they did to see through my eyes. So when I open a laptop and they don't want me to say something or write something, they start like they would attack my eye as if like I'm being punched in the eye. There's one time when I was looking at this old photo of mine when I was very, very young, and this is the photo that she hates. And even if I take it out now, the wind will start blowing. She hates that photo because I believe that she believes that I'm beautiful there, whatever. But anyway, she hates that photo. She doesn't want to look at that photo. So because of she's looking through my eyes, whenever I whatever I see, she sees. So this is how they monitoring me. And what else did I sense? The intuition got better, almost got sharper almost immediately, but it kept improving. Like I trusted more what I thought than what I heard or what I saw or what I felt. I trusted more what I thought, what was coming into my mind, than what was being said or what I could see, what I could feel. I trusted more what my intuition was telling me. That was my experience. And eventually when that happened, I realized that that wasn't just only my intuition. I was reading something or I was hearing something. And the father part, I always had it, I think, but then I could also sense others. I could also sense other beings around me. And then I would hear, like, I think father said to me, your ancestors are here. Everyone is here. That's what he said. Everyone is here. Your ancestors are here. Your brothers and sisters are here. And your spirit team is here. Everyone is here. Then I started picking up that I can sense my ancestors, and I knew definitely my great grandmother was there in the front. And I could sense my grandfather, and I could sense my grandmother, my other grandmother from my maternal side, my grandfather from my, this is my step grandfather, by the way, from my paternal side, and my great grandmother from my paternal side, the one who's looking after me. I could sense her clearly, just as I could. She's more prominent than the same way as father is in the front and mother is in the front. She's in the front as well. She's like, not in the front as in like before them, but she's like, I feel her far much more. And then every once in a while I would start feeling like there's her husband next to her, my great grandfather. Then I would feel some others coming through as well. It depends what I'm going through. I would sense a bit more of, I sense someone else's energy, like I sense my grandfather's energy. And one that I couldn't sense for a very long time was my great uncle. I couldn't sense him for a while, but I knew he was there, but I couldn't sense his energy. It was there, but it wasn't really, like, I couldn't sense it that strongly. And I think it's because of he was somehow imprisoned. They did something to him to separate him from ascending or going to the spirit world in some way. They did something with his during his funeral with him to bind him, still to bind his energy to this world. This is how they managed to keep making him do things for them, that is using his energy somehow. And that's one of the things that I got from intuition, to say they're using him to basically, that's what they wanted to do to me as well. He might have died, but they bound you somehow to, so they bound him to this woman who called herself his wife, and they only got married, they only married her to him after his death. Imagine, who gets married after someone else's death? But anyway, I could sense such things, like my uncle is stuck somewhere. And I heard clearly. I heard clearly. I don't hear voices. People think that you're going to hear voices. I don't hear voices. I sense it. I sense answers. I sense conversation. I sense it. It's not something that you hear in your head. No, I don't have voices in my head. Like they would say, oh, when they took me to the hospital, because they wanted to commit me to a mental institution of some kind. They thought that they could get away with that shit. But the funny thing is, I didn't have to lie even. Because the doctor's like, do you hear anything? Do you hear any voices? And I'm like, voices? It's like, yeah. It's like, I don't hear any voices. So this was the truth, because I don't hear any voices, but I intuitively understand the energy, what they're saying to me. And I think this is what happens with most tarot readers. They don't hear voices. They intuitively sense the answers or the ancestors speaking to them. So there's no voices. You feel it. It's a feeling. It's a sensing. It's a sixth sense kind of a thing. You feel your body. It's everything and in one. It's intuition. It's like it's all those senses combined. You're seeing, feeling, hearing, and whatever combined in, and thinking combined into one. It creates your intuition. It's like you're sensing far, you're hearing and sensing far much deeper by combining all those senses together. That's one of the things that I experienced. And the other thing that I experienced was my experience with awakening was more like I needed separation. I needed to be separate from everybody. I needed to have um to be in solitude, so to speak. Even though there was like a lot of noise, a lot of man-made type of noises, I still felt like I needed separation too from other people, because that's the real noise. When someone else is giving you their thoughts, isn't like they want to come in and talk about their shit or come in and ask you stupid questions. That was too much noisy for me. And this is why I didn't want people around me, because I didn't want to have to deal with, oh, so and so did this. Their gossips. I didn't want to have to do with, so how are you doing? Their fake concerns. I didn't want to have to do with, so what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? Those type of shit. I didn't want to deal with that. I preferred to be alone, even if it was in the middle of a bush, alone. I preferred that. I needed solitude. Hence, they say you go into hermit mode. I was a hermit, and I needed that time alone. I wanted that time alone. The other experience that I had was I saw people correctly. I could see through people. I could see them again. And I remembered this is how I used to see them before. This is how I used to see them before I went to sleep. This is how I used to sense them. But I also feel like I sensed that they had deteriorated far much worse than when I was awake when I was younger. Some of them went south. And it gets stronger and stronger as you continue with your awakening. You start seeing them deeper now. Like you see this person deeper. I can read deeper into that soul. I can read, like, I can almost tell you, this is your this is the issue here. This is what you have an issue with. And I can almost see where that issue ends you up, where you end up with that issue, or like predict where you're gonna end up, sort of, to speak. I might not be correct, but I can predict. And apparently most of the stuff that I've done, so I had to pause for a while. I forgot what I was saying. But yeah, that's my experience is awakening. And then the other stuff, that other than the fact that you go through when you listen to your intuition, your ancestors. Intuition for me means you're able to connect with that deeper feeling and meaning within you that connects to source. That's what intuition is. I see intuition as God. God is intuition. So for me, and it can also be God, ancestors, spirit guides, your spirit team talking to you. That is intuition. It's like being able to listen beyond physical. You're listening into the spiritual world, what the information that is coming from the spiritual world is saying, and you are acting on that intuition as well. Well, you don't have to, but you listening. You have an open ear to intuition, or to the spirit world. I mean, not to intuition, to the spirit. You have an open ear to the spiritual world, to the spirit, or spirit itself. Like, spirit is this is why I say people like to say spirit, spirit, spirit. Spirit can be good, can be bad, but you need to be mindful. I don't know. I can sense who I'm speaking to. I can sense who is trying to talk to me. I can sense father, I can sense mother, my grandmother. Sometimes I can sense the love and joy coming from some of the ancestors that I know. But for some reason, I'm also sensing my great grandfather, my grandmother's husband, and I never met him. Apparently, I was still in my birth mother's womb at the time when he passed on, but he apparently, I don't know who is my greatest fan. I don't know if it's my great grandfather himself, but I feel like it's him, or it's my other grandfather, even him as well. But I feel like he's like, rooting for me many times. It's like, hell yeah. And I sense my brothers and sisters. I do. I sense the other guardian angels as well. But they're in the one group as well. I sense them together because my my brothers and sisters are also these archangels, I believe. Or my cousins. Or that's something that I still need to like clarify, because this is not what I know. What people are saying here on earth is not what I know. Then I sense, I always had this feeling that there was dragons, right? And I had this dragon energy, and I had fairy energy, and I also had like other gods and other beings. Apparently, I cannot mention which one specifically, but yeah, I felt it is not just I just know of a lot that were approached, who came with me, and those who joined later. But what I'm trying to say is, whenever they talk, or whenever they come to the front to address something, to address me, whenever I have a question, whoever needs to come forward comes forward, and I sense them. Whatever topic that we discuss, it's like when we were discussing um, the the topic of partners, or romantic partners, or the soulmates, like this wife and husband situation kind of a thing. When we were discussing that, there were deities who came forward, who were specifically assigned to take me through that discussion, and mother and father as well. But then I was like, I don't want to talk to mother and father about this. And they were like, what the heck? It's like I remember having an issue with discussing that topic with mother and father, but they were there to try to push me to think far beyond than what I have been taught in this world. And so whoever needs to come through for me, they come through. And I also sense this other beings which have been on earth, who went through this awakening state. But I forget his name. I remembered his name, and then I forget his name. Alan Watts. Today I remembered him. Oh goodness, let me write it down, because I'm gonna need to go and find his videos again and re-listen to them. That's what I've been trying to do, like listening to these other, because I used to forward this I was like, awakening, you know, next. They used to be like in my feed, and I would be like, why am I receiving these things? Why am I receiving this information? I'm not interested in this. I used to call them crazy stuff, crazy things, only to find that they were meant for me. But yeah, so yeah, Alan Watts, some of the human beings who've been here before, who have went through, some spiritual awakening or enlightenment or whatever spiritual something. I used to feel him, hey, and I used to be like, who's this person? Who's this person? And it felt like him. However, I only when someone said it in the tarot reading, I was like, yeah, man, I did feel that energy. And I was like, he's really here? Like, why would he be here? But I realized that there's a lot of what I know is that some of the deities, that is the gods, some of they call them ascended masters, they are here as well, and my brothers and sisters as well. Some of them, and not just my brothers, some gods and goddesses are also understanding what I'm understanding. They are coming through with me to learn the things that I'm learning. And most importantly, they're also learning about Father. It's like Father took this opportunity to not only just teach me, but also teach the other beings as well, as to how he wants us to understand him, so to speak. So he is guiding me to help me to understand him, and as I understand him, others are also learning from my experience of learning him, as to what it is, that who is God. Because that's one of the things that when I was young, when I was still in heaven, I used to feel like Father's misunderstood, but I also misunderstood him a lot. And he's like, you don't worry, you understand. So this is when I say father's the way he I'm not gonna say he can't, he can, but he speaks such high standard of communication, that it's not he's such a high being that it's not easy for them, not that it's not easy, that is, it's not easy for us to understand him and her, because of they communicate in a way by feeling each other, like by sensing each other, and it's clear, the message is clear, right? So it's not just words spoken. So for us, we speak mostly words as well, and for him to explain in words and give you the feeling as well, unless you have had for me, it was the issue of I didn't even have any other experience except for my home in heaven. So for him to give me an experience like that, to understand him, I had to come through to earth to see the things that he's talking about. What is earth? What is a planet? What is spirituality? What is what? So that when he communicates with me, I'm able to, I'm able to build that image, or sense that whatever it is that he's trying to communicate to me easily. So basically, what I'm trying to say is, when he speaks, or when he and she speaks, we are not able to understand them, because they speak such high language. It's like they speak the original ancient whatever. And that's how we spoke as well at home. However, I do believe that most of my brothers and sisters had a little bit of trouble understanding him and his explanation, because they used to laugh whenever I asked questions. They used to wait to see what father is going to say. And he used to get so annoyed with them because I would ask a question and they'd be like, okay, this is a good one. Let's see how he answers. And he would look at them, like, give them this look like, what are you looking at? And they'll be like, okay, go on. We're listening too. And he would say something, and then I will be like, okay, and then I will try to mull it over, and then I'll be like, but then I don't understand something, and then he'll be like, um, say something again, and then I'll be like, okay, and then he'll be like, don't worry. Um, when I was, this is when I'm even coming to my this mission on earth. He decided that he's going to use this mission to teach me the things that I wanted to know, and he would say to me, don't worry, I'll add it to your karmic lessons. It's like, okay, fine. Because this is when he says to me, this the time when he says to me, I've decided that I am going to, it's the best way for me to add your lessons to your mission. It will be the best way to learn. But um I must say something like, mastery can always be improved. Mastering of anything can always be improved. And this is why masters come back here to relearn and to revisit some of the ideas that they had, I think. And I don't claim to be 100% correct. I always say, this is what I think. You know, I think like this. I feel like this. And somebody else might have a different answer, and that's okay, So I guess some of them are here to also learn or help me where I get stuck, but they're also here to learn about some of their, it's not to say mistakes, but some of the things that they missed, or some, because this is the one thing that I used to like have an issue with. And I kept telling this to fathers, like, I don't understand some of these people that you sent here. The messages that they left, I don't understand those messages. They're not clear. It's like everybody speaks in their own language and everybody wants to sound like spiritual and they want to sound also politically correct. And then I'm like, just say it as it is. They say it straightforward and make it simple for the mere mortals. Okay, I don't know about that for now, but then for the mere people like us, the small people like me who don't want to be like going and scratching their heads and googling this crap, because I feel like there's so many terms and people act like these terms make them intelligent, or they make them spiritually, or they make them better than others. They behave that way. And this is again, that flipping is good ego is just rearing its head again whenever they talk. And I'm like, oh goodness, this shit again. And it prevents us from learning. It prevents us from talking. As I'm saying this, I'm going back to Jesus, right? My brother, that is. He speaks in a different language. But I'm also understanding that every era and every guru in that era will speak based on the way they communicated at that time, right? So for me, they're upset when they do this. They're upset that I've been recording for too long. They're trying to disrupt my messages. Anyway, what I wanted to say is every guru in every era will speak the language of that era. So it doesn't necessarily translate sometimes when we move forward. This is why a lot of people are going to lose Jesus Christ teachings. A lot of people are going to lose Buddha's teachings. Who else was there? All these masters that came, Krishnas and whoever was here, we're going to lose them, because not lose them, but leave them in that era. We in the future, or the people, what I'm saying today is probably not going to make sense to anybody in the future, because I mean, I'm probably talking the language of my era as well. But then how do you keep it up? I think in terms of this world, Earth, because if it was stolen and hidden away, there was such a gap between the last guru or the last teacher, Jesus, and the next teacher, that the information now is lost. We've went through so much of language change and behavioral changes and tradition, society. It has changed so much that how he speaks doesn't make sense to us. It's like the Bible does not make sense. If I read the Bible today, I read it then, it didn't make sense to me, right? It's like this Shakespeare kind of talk. Not everybody has an ear for that, right? People think it's beautiful. Of course, some quote like that could be beautiful, but for me, Shakespeare, I liked it. I have to be honest, but I don't like the idea of having to mull over what does this sentence mean. It's like, yeah. I just liked it for when you read it out loud. They, thou, how, yeah. I loved it like that. But did I understand anything that they were saying? Most of the time, I'd be like, I think this is what they mean, you know. But it's like if I read a novel today, I just go with the flow and I just and I understand what they're saying. But this Shakespeare stuff is like you have to think every sentence and be like, this is what they mean. But as you read it and then as you get acquainted with the language, in the middle, somewhere in the middle, I started like flowing, like I enjoyed it because I could understand what they would mean because I had started off and really forced myself to say, you know what, I'm gonna read Shakespeare and I'm gonna try to understand it and I'm gonna see what is it that these people are talking about. And I was like, oh, I get it. I get it. But is it something that I would say great? No. And there's a reason why a lot of people don't care for Shakespeare. Is because who's going to have time to understand this shit of they, thou, our, thou? No one. Times have changed. We want it quick. LOL. You know what I mean? It's like that language. And I think also now I'm seeing it for what it is that in that era, in those eras, the experiences in those eras or what was happening in those eras required a certain level of communication or a certain level of or a certain information based on what was happening there. Even though the instances are still similar in a way, but maybe the degree different or um yeah, maybe the degree is still different. I do believe that some of these things are the same as when they were then happening in the earlier eras. However, probably the complexities are different. Like you can't talk about transport the same way, like getting there. Let's say spirituality was a journey, a physical journey, right? Not a spiritual journey. How we would reach there fast. Everybody will buy a plane ticket to wherever it is, right? But let's say um, you were required possibly to walk instead of flying, right? Then it means that you would be still doing it the way they used to do it in the olden times because they walked everywhere. However, today people will be like, why should I walk? Why should I walk? No ways, this spirituality thing is not for me. And they'll turn away from it. They'll turn away from it because it's like, that's stupid. Why should I walk? And where do I cross? Oh no, they used to swim for hours. They used to swim for hours and what was like, what? I can't even swim. Okay, then the spirituality thing is not for me. Things like that. So it's just that when I look back, it's like I can't. understand what the old gurus were trying to say. But what I do see is that they more or less all came with similar messages. But perhaps Father now found a new way of communication, in a sense of, um, I guess I'm communicating in this era's way of talking, the language, despite other things. And I'm also like, I think he wanted to talk to certain types of people, like, you know, normal people, not spiritual people, you know. And therefore, I don't see myself as like, I do see myself as like Jesus, but I don't really see myself as like Jesus, like the guru Jesus. I'm like, hey, I'm learning just like everybody else is waking up and learning. And this is what I've learned so far. And I'm not sure even if that's correct, but then obviously spirit will confirm for me somewhere. But some things just make sense, right? When we think about it. And I think for me, the whole thing is also more inclusive. It's not exclusive. It's more like we all on this journey together, but separately. As in, like, everybody's waking up to some sort of information and we're bringing it to get, oh, now I understand what that girl tried to say. You see, sometimes even people today, current people who are alive today, they say things, but they don't make sense still. Now I'm getting what she meant when she says, we all getting bits and pieces of information, different places, and we are putting it together, you know. Or maybe I'm the one who's going to put it together, I don't know. Or someone else is going to put together a specific set of information, somebody else puts together a specific set of information, but we are all learning from each other. I'm learning a lot of things from um, tarot readers. I'm learning, and psychic readers, I'm learning a lot, right? And but I'm coming up with my own answers as well. Basically, from them, most of the things that I didn't know that they were terms, you know. But I also feel like it's also a danger, in a sense of, it's the language that tarot readers speak. Not everybody's interested in tarot reading, and this is why I try to refrain from talking about things in a in a in a specific type of language, be it spiritual language, scientific language, um what is it, psychic language, or tarot reader language. Try to bring it to some sort of, no, you know, like normal language, because some of these things that they talk about them as if like we know what they mean. It's like the hermit. Huh? Who? The hermit, the emperor, the empress. It's like, oh goodness. Okay, let me go and check. I have this now. I have to go and oh goodness, goodness. No wonder people don't care for this shit. It's like, yeah, so you know how to understand this, but your job is to make me understand. Don't tell me the hermit. Tell me that to I probably need to be alone for a while and think about what's going on with my life. Don't tell me the hermit. I was reading about the hermit today, that's why. Don't tell me the hermit, the emperor. Yeah, the emperor. Yeah, the emperor. What is the father and the what and what? It's like, what? Yeah, what? The high priestess. Okay, the only card I care about is the fool. that, that, that I feel like I can almost like, oh, is he a fool? You know, it's easy to me for me to read, to understand. It's like the fool. Okay, the fool is trying to what? Oh, he's going somewhere. He's trying, going new beginnings. Tell me that. Don't say, okay, this card. You know what I'm saying? It's like, this is why it's only relevant to certain people, this tarot reading. And but it can be used in a very, very good way of, interpreting things for people. Only if people would get out of their own asses and talk normal. Your job is to interpret those cards, not to tell me the hermit. Interpret what the hermit means. Don't tell me the hermit or the chariot. Some explain, right? There are very good ones. They will explain to you things. And this is the funniest thing about it as well. This is one of the things that I picked up what I was going through when I'm going through my awakening, is that someone will explain some tarot spread of for something, but I would read it differently. They would say something and then I would intuitively know, no, that's not what we're saying. This is what we are saying. And I was laughing the other day. I was like, am I being able to? So for me, when I'm seeing the tarot cards, tarot reading, I'm like, this is an intuition thing. It doesn't matter what card you get there. It can be read in many different ways, right? Just because of the chariot is what, or the hermit is what, doesn't mean it's going to be so in every situation. So someone else might read it the way they want to read it because of they saw something before or some card before. But normally what I get is sometimes they vice versa read. They do vice versa reading. And then I'll be like, either they're reading for me or they're reading for somebody else. But this story I know, but I know it in the reverse. So what is the message for me, right? And sometimes some of them get the message for me in the end. It's like, oh, no. This is actually means this and this. So maybe this is how sometimes it's easier to read. But that's if they get out of their own way. That is, they don't listen to this other spirit and listen to their own people, their own ancestors, and whoever their guides are. Make sure that they sense those guides. Because I've made that mistake many times when I'm communicating with spirit and I think I'm communicating with father, only to find it's Uncle Old Man pretending to be father again. Anyway, he loves that. And he gets me all the time, but he doesn't get me for too long. Uncle Omen is so bad. He's so bad. He can't vibrate higher for more than 2 minutes. 2 minutes is enough. Soon enough he'll do something or say something, because I asked a lot of questions, right? And he comes trying to deceive me, thinking that he will just have to be like there for like 2 minutes or so. And then I'll be like, wait, but what about, because if I ask too many questions, I'm basically expecting him to drag on the conversation for 5 minutes, 20 minutes or so. Uncle Old Man, 3 minutes, you'll start hearing his annoyance with me. And I'll be like, don't be like that with me. It's like, Father, why are you being like, what's wrong? I was just asking it. And then I'll be like, no, that's not my father. Father would never behave that way. Who you? Who are you? And I'll be like, it's not my father. And then when I start thinking and trying to connect with my father will be like, it's not me. It's like, Uncle Omen, damn it. And then I'll start focusing on my parents, on my mother. And he always gets me upset. Whenever God gets you upset, says something to you and you get upset or angry or fearful or whatever, that's not God. It's the other God. It's the other spirit. It's the devil. I don't know if he's still God. Is he still God? I think he lost his godliness. He was stripped of his powers. So he might not be God anymore. He hasn't mastered much, I think. I don't know what he mastered. What did he master anyway? He was supposed to master being fragmentation, but I think he failed at that. So he's not a god. He was a god. He is father's brother. He was a god, but he was stripped of that divinity and sent to earth to come back. Everybody will be like, what? But why did God send him to earth? Because this is where you're going to have to go, come back and learn and relearn and master yourself so that you can ascend again to become a divine being again. That's why he needed to come here and do his thing. But then he went other ways. He's too lazy for it. I'm going to call him lazy until he challenges me, and I'm challenging him. I'm challenging him to see if he will step up and take the lead of his team and become a god again. I am. Otherwise, he's just gonna be another lazy uncle to me. He's just lazy. Yo, that guy. Charming but lazy. Anyway, what else did I experience during my awakening? I don't want to make it a long video. I think I'm going to have to like maybe do another second recording. Basically, it's just that. It's like, and there's like the sense of peace because you're surrounded by peace. You're surrounded by God. You're surrounded by protection for me. And everybody else, by the way, will have the same or similar type of protection. Your own spirit guides will be protecting you, teaching you, helping you solve problems, helping you get answers. And you feel so much love. Like it's just overflowing sense of love. You know, when you're upset, they could calm you down. They'll always, you'll get upset in the morning, but then they'll find a way to cheer you up by the evening. And you'll be like, okay, you know, you'll be sore in the morning, but in the evening or in the afternoon, you'll feel better. There's just so much love for me. Like you sense it. And you also feel so much love towards them. That's one of the things that I experience. It's like I open myself up to feeling them, and I open myself up to making them understand and feel how much I love them. I tell them all the time. Well, not all the time, but as much as I can. And when I'm upset with them, I tell them as well. When I'm upset with them, I tell them that I'm upset with them. But I haven't been upset with them in a long while. No, actually, I have. What am I saying? I was upset with Father the other day about something. And I think he said there's a misunderstanding. He sent me a message to say there's a misunderstanding. And my grandmother's like, don't worry about it. We got your back. I was upset. Anyway, I've come to this point where I'm like, everything has been planned, man. Just chill. Yeah, my awakening, that's my experience with my awakening. And trust is the biggest one as well. You trust what you feel. You trust what your intuition tells you. You don't go and look for confirmation from other people, because this is a problem there. When you start looking for confirmation from this person says he's awakening, maybe they can share for me, will share with me, what their awakening is like. Maybe they can confirm my experience. I'm not saying this to confirm anyone's experience. Everybody might have a different experience, but that's what I went through, because I'm a different one, right? And other people are going to be different in their own way. There are other gods and goddesses who are here with a similar type of mission. They have their own missions, but we are all working towards some mission that will probably come together somewhere. I don't know. I don't have the plan. Only Father has the plan. We see it as we go. That's the fun in it. That's how they have fun. But yeah, it is. I must think deep about this one. This question of what was my experience. But it's that, because You must also trust yourself and know that you don't need to. I felt like I didn't need to, for me, because I'm that kind of energy anyway. I don't need anybody's validation. Never have and never will, probably. And that's the thing. But yes, you will find people who wants, my family try to get myself to be in a position of needing their validation, and I didn't give them the chance. They would come and talk things and say things to prompt me to talk about my experience somehow, and I'll just keep quiet. I don't tell anybody anything. I just keep quiet. It's like, that's my shit. You go do your shit. Okay, I'm only doing this recording because of I'm required to do, well, not required, but I'm encouraged to do this and share. But other than that, I would have just kept quiet. If it wasn't my purpose, I would have just kept quiet. But for them, I'm going to keep quiet. For everybody else, I'll share, right? And they will get it just like everybody else gets it. Not because of they're trying to be like, yeah, but there's no such a thing. When you start talking, they'll be like, what? There's no such a thing. You're crazy. You're obviously crazy. That's what they were looking for. They're looking for an opportunity to call you crazy. Don't look for their validation. Only God can validate you. Only Spirit can validate you. Only your ancestors can help you get validated. And even if you're not sure about something, this is one of the things that I realized is that I don't have to be sure about anything. That's what called intuition. You trust. You get that message. You're like, I don't feel like this is right. And you keep that. And you go the different way. And you trust that no matter what, even if there's like a crocodile there, spirit team is there for with you. They'll show you how to walk on top of the crocodile and cross the river if they have to, or go around the bend and or use a log or something. Just do it. Just trust yourself, trust your intuition, trust your father said whatever you do, you must always listen to your heart. And I have been struggling with it these past few days with a specific thing, not listening to my heart, but specifically listening to my heart for a specific thing. And today I decided to do a recording and talk to my ancestors in terms of this meditation practice that I'm doing. And it was cleared. They were like, yeah, now you remember, you are right. And I was like, oh, thank God. Interesting though. Interesting. Anywho, yeah,